You know the Steelers had a good draft when some of their biggest haters and sworn enemies are giving them good grades. PFF gave the Steelers, I think, the best draft out of the whole NFL. They gave us an A plus. At least they gave us the best grade. I think there was only like two or three other teams that they gave A pluses to. Mo Kiper had us as his top three, or in his top three amongst the rest of the league. Warren Sharp had us as the fourth best value in terms of all of our picks, like the value we got in each round and each of those picks. Overall, it totaled up to the fourth best value draft class out of everyone else. So, we had a good draft, and that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to go round by round, give a grade to each one of the Steelers picks. And the reason I wanted to mention that before I got into each of my grades is that this isn't going to be me being a homer here. This isn't going to be me just giving the Steelers good grades just because of the Steelers and they're my favorite team. No, they legitimately, objectively had a good draft. So I just wanted to preface. No, I think it's preface. I wanted to preface my grades by saying that listen, it's not only me, it's not only Steeler fans that are loving this draft. The rest of the league thinks it's a really good job that Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, and Art Rooney did. So let's just get into it because we'll go draft. We'll go over the grades and everything. I'll have an overall grade, and you guys actually drop into the chat who was your favorite pick out of all the Steelers' 7 picks in this draft class. Who is your favorite, and give your reason why. And as I go through these grades, I'll give my favorite pick as well. We'll also go over the 6 undrafted free agent signings that the Steelers made. I'll do a brief summary for each of them. And then last, we'll close it out with what the Steelers will still need to do the rest of this offseason in terms of moves, potential free agent signings, and adding to the roster. I'll give a few things we could do to still, upgrade the squad here and be ready for the start of 2024. But the grades. Round 1, we picked Troy Fautanu, offensive tackle out of Washington. You guys remember my initial reaction on draft night. I was like, not feeling the greatest about this. Wasn't really on the Steelers' radar. What position is he going to play? I know he was a left tackle at Washington. Some are saying he needs to transition to guard. But after Tomlin and Khan said, no, he's going to be playing tackle. And I'm going to take that as most likely right tackle, given that he was basically a right tackle at Washington because Penix was a left-handed quarterback. I think this bumps up to an A. You watch some of the tape too, the footwork, the talent, the skill, it's all there. He just needs to bulk up a little bit, really, so he could handle the bull rushes better than the pros. I'm giving this a solid A. I'd argue, some of you guys might even say A+. We got our starting right tackle for the long term. We got our tackles bookended with Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu, 2 guys that we took in the first round in the top 20 of each of these last drafts. Like, come on, man. Come on. That's a great way to build a team for the future. That's a great way to protect either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, the new quarterbacks that we have in-house. It's just a great strategy overall, building up the trenches, manhandling under teams, and forcing your will on other teams. Like that's how you play football. That's getting back to basics. Running the ball, winning at the line of scrimmage. And that's the tone, that's the message that the Steelers are sending not only this year, but I think last year by drafting Broderick Jones in the first round. When we didn't, we it's hard to say because we were talking about drafting a left tackle last year. It was probably one of our top 3 or 4 needs, but we didn't need one that bad. Like we needed center this year. Like we only have Spencer Anderson slotted as a center right now. Last year, we still had Dan Moore and Chooks. We didn't need a tackle that bad, but we wanted to get some extra security, extra insurance for that position. And obviously, we've ran with that motto in this year's draft by taking 4 offensive linemen in the first 4 rounds. Next pick, though, Zach Frazier. I'm giving this one an A+. And I'll just tell you guys right now, this was my favorite pick of the Steelers draft class for 2024. Weird to say, awkward to say, given that he's coming out of West Virginia. And I'm a Pitt graduate, held a Pitt. But we needed a center. He's one of the top 3 centers. Some could maybe even make an argument he was the top center or the second center, just depending on what you're looking for. I don't think he has the same upside as Jackson Powers-Johnson or Graham Barton. But sometimes upside isn't the answer for making it in the league. How many dudes have had a ton of upside? Jamarcus Russell, Jake Locker, Johnny Manziel. Like, there's list of dudes with tons of upside. If you can't make it happen in the pros, then what is it worth? Now, I do actually think Graham Barton and Jackson Powers-Johnson will be good. But I think Zach Frazier is a very polished center coming out of WVU. He's going to be starting for us day one. He was a bully. He was mauling over dudes. I just don't think he has the same amount of athleticism as JPJ or Graham Barton. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. You could still be a really good player, even if you didn't score in the top, 99 percentile out of, the interior offensive lineman in the relative athletic score. You still be a really, really good player. So I'm going A+. We got our day one starter. It was the biggest position of need. It was the assignment. It was the goal for the Steelers coming out of this draft. You got to get a starting center. And we didn't have to trade up to get Zach Frazier. We didn't have to go late into the first round. We didn't have to go early into the second round to get him. We didn't have to give up any assets. We were able to sit there at 51. No one really expected Frazier to be there, but Omar Khan read the board. He knew what he was doing. I think, honestly, just the presence of Omar Khan now in the Steelers organization and just some of the moves he's been making over the last couple of years, I think it's frightening other GM. I think it's just confusing them. It's making them disoriented, and you're getting good players like Zach Frazier and Troy Fontenot just falling to us out of the blue sky. It's just unbelievable. They know, Omar Khan's lurking. It's either you're going to make a bad trade like the Bears did with us, Chase Claypool, or giving Justin Fields to us for a 6th-round pick. It's either Omar Khan is going to get the trade that he needs, or we're just going to sit there and have you guys make the mistakes in front of us, and we're going to reap the benefits of all the good players that are available a la this year's draft. Omar Khan, he's a presence, man. I think he's intimidating. His presence is intimidating all the other GMs, all the other organizations in the league. It's just what he's been able to do over these last 2 years and putting together drafts and putting together some of these free agent classes and some of the trades he's made. It's been unbelievable. It's almost like, the Patriots back in the day. Whenever they were winning early on, they got a couple of their Super Bowls and Belichick and Brady. Now, they did cheat a little bit. I think that's what made some other teams paranoid too. Are the Patriots spying on us? But you would see it a lot of times with the Patriots. Teams would just beat themselves. They would just figure out ways to lose. And you're seeing it kind of with the Chiefs now, Andy Reid, Mahomes. There's such an aura, there's such a presence, there's such a reputation around them that teams just start choking. I think it's feeling like the same way here with the Steelers and Omar Khan and what he's been doing. There's such a reputation, and then there's just been such excellence that he's been putting out there as a GM that other teams are they're making mistakes. They're getting in their own heads. They're getting nervous about picks. Whenever the Steelers are on the board or they're almost on the clock, or they're calling you to make a trade, that there's just mistakes being made, and Steelers are reaping the benefits of it. So, yeah, Zach Frazier, A+ grade. Roman Wilson, A, solid A. Any of these top 4 picks, you could say A+, but I'm not going to go full-on homer for these draft grades. But you can make a case they could all be A+ because each one of these players were not projected to be where the Steelers drafted them at. Troy Fontenot was supposed to be in the top 15, the top 10. He's one of the best offensive tackles in this class. Zach Frazier was supposed to be early second, late first. We got him middle of the second at 51. Roman Wilson, we got him middle of the third. He was supposed to go middle second, late second, maybe one of the first couple picks in the third round. Blazing fast 40, ran a 4.3 something, creates really good separation, is a winner, part of a championship culture. That's something Tomlin has talked a lot about with drafting Roman Wilson. He was like, man, I really appreciate that he went to Michigan. He knows what it takes to win. being a part of one of those programs like a Michigan, an Alabama, or a Georgia over the last decade can really mold how you see the game of football. These are all the things that Mike Tomlin said about Roman Wilson, or just even players coming out of Michigan. So this pick, man, like the only knock against Wilson is he's not like a bona fide outside receiver. He's not a versatile receiver, but you know that's what you're getting from him. That's not exactly why you drafted him. You drafted him to play the slot, to be a part of that niche, being an inside receiver. Get the separation, be a quarterback friendly target for you, be fast. Like that's the other thing. He's not just work the inside or work the short side of the field. He's actually low key a pretty good, not even low key. I'd say he's a pretty good deep threat. Like that's something that was attractive about him. Like he'll play the inside, but he can get open down the field. He'll get separation on deep routes. He'll just take a vert and fly past defenders, fly past the secondary. And that's something we're definitely looking for. That's something the Steelers have been lacking recently in the receiver room, or just even in general, both offensively and defensively. Speed, athleticism like that. But that has been an extreme focus this offseason. We brought in Quez Watkins, Van Jefferson. You got a Cordell Patterson in there at running back now, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson at quarterback. We bring in Roman Wilson. Our next draft pick, I'm going to talk about Peyton Wilson. He ran a 4.40 as a linebacker. Dante Jackson, he's typically like 96, 97 speed on Madden. So, yeah, we bolstered this team up with a lot of speed, and Roman Wilson is one of the latest additions in doing that. Next pick, Peyton Wilson. I'm going A+. I'm going A+ here because inside linebacker, we saw how things played out last year and all the injuries we dealt with. We not only improved our depth at the position drastically by having Peyton Wilson, we might have a bona fide starter for us for, the foreseeable future here alongside Patrick Queen. And I could make the case that he is probably one of the best compliments that you could have for Patrick Queen. I was talking about, Jeremiah Trotter being a potential draft pick for us and pairing up nicely alongside Queen. Peyton Wilson is just a better version of Jeremiah Trotter. He's way better in coverage. He's faster. He's more athletic and way more productive than Jeremiah Trotter. Both dudes played in the ACC, but who won the Bednarik Award and who won the Butkus Award? The Bednarik Award is the award for the best college football defender in all of last year, and the Butkus Award is for who the best linebacker was. That was Peyton Wilson. That was Peyton Wilson. And I'll reiterate, he's just not, he did that in college. This isn't going to translate to the pros. No, he has upside. He has talent. He has skill that will translate to the pros. That 4.4 speed, the skills in coverage, the height at 6'4", the size, the physical traits, all that makes him a very attractive pro prospect. The only problem is the injuries. So that's the risk the Steelers are taking in drafting Peyton Wilson. But it's not like we picked him in the first round or in the second round and drafted him, with a higher pick, a pick that's considered more valuable. No, we drafted him with our extra pick, the Kenny Pickett pick, the pick that we got in trading Kenny Pickett to the Eagles, our second, third round pick, late in the third round. Yeah, I'll take a flyer on Peyton Wilson. If you could tell me the reward of him fully developing is being a potential Pro Bowl linebacker alongside Patrick Queen, being a really good coverage linebacker, having that speed that we've been lacking in the linebacker room ever since like Ryan Shazier. One can argue, I guess Devin Bush was fast coming out of Michigan, but he never really utilized his speed correctly. But yeah, if you mean to tell me we got our linebacking room potentially set with Peyton Wilson for the long term, then yeah, I'll take a flyer on him that he's going to not get injured the same way that he did in college. And honestly, if you look at these last 2 years, he's been able to stay healthy. So he's trending in the right direction. And we've talked about dudes that have been injury prone in college. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be injury prone in the pros. Like there have been cases like Frank Gore, like Miles Jack. I mentioned both of their careers yesterday. Like those dudes didn't get drafted as high because everyone was worried about the injury red flags. but they went on to have really solid careers. Frank Gore, borderline Hall of Famer. Miles Jack. He never made a Pro Bowl, but borderline Pro Bowl player for the Jaguars. And then where did he play somewhere in between the Jaguars and the Steelers? Maybe he did, but obviously he spent the last 2 years here with the Steelers, and he's just a really good player. Ended up being in the league for 8, 9 years, and yeah, made a pretty good living off of it. But Peyton Wilson, A+, definite A+. He should not have been there late third round, just based off merit. But I get it; the injuries might have scared some other teams off. And these last 3 picks, I will go over them briefly. Mason McCormick in the 4th round. I'm going A-. Maybe you can make an argument we should have taken a cornerback here, like TJ Tampa was available. A couple other corners, couple other receivers. Maybe we could have taken, just because we already took 2 offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds. Actually, I'm sorry. I thought we took 4 offensive linemen. It seemed that way. But we took 3 offensive linemen in the first 4 rounds. It was Fontenot, Frazier, McCormick. Sorry about that. Mistake on my behalf. But yeah, A-. I like the pick personally. I like it, but I could see why some people would say, man, we should have taken a corner here. Maybe we should have got another receiver. We got enough offensive linemen. But again, I think this goes back to the Steelers sending a message, setting a tone, and saying, like, yeah, we're not messing around with our offensive line anymore in the trenches. We're not going to be getting bullied out here anymore. Like, this is going to be the Steeler football that we're familiar with from going back to the 70s and even like Bill Cowher in the 90s. And then, whenever we had Ben early on, we were a very ground and pound team with Bettis and Willie Parker. We had a really good offensive lineman with Hall of Famers like Alan Faneca. You had Jeff Harding's in there at center, a Marvel Smith. You had really good dudes. And then fast forward again, we had another iteration of a really good offensive line with Pouncey and DeCastro and all them. And Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams were running all over the place. Like, we're getting back to that. I think we're in a new phase here. We're in a new era of Steeler football where the offensive line is going to be taken over, which I like. And it just makes sense logistically too, because Mason McCormick is a guard. We got James Daniel, who is only going to be here, at least based off his contract right now, for 1 more year. I guess we could re-sign him, but he's only got 1 more year left on his deal. And he's not a really young player anymore. He's still in his prime, but he's getting up there. He's getting into his late 20s. And then Isaac Seumalo, we signed him from the Eagles. I think he's getting up there in his 30s. So just having a dude set for the future is not a bad idea either. Right now, he's going to provide us good depth, good competition in the interior, but then could be a solution for us long term. And if he does pan out, then you got him, Zach Frazier, and Fontenot, 3 dudes we drafted this year, and then a Broderick Jones last year we picked in the first round. All these dudes as an offensive line growing up together. And you can ask offensive linemen that have done it before, former offensive linemen. They say good groups, like, they grew up together. They were like drafted around the same time, and they all developed together. That's how you build the chemistry amongst the group. So that's another reason to like this Mason McCormick pick. So I'll go A-. I'll go A- with it. But Logan Lee, I'm saying B+, the defensive lineman out of Iowa. And Ryan Watts, I will give a B+ to. The only reason I like both of these picks as well. The only reason I'm gonna say B+ is really just based off the player. I think these are good options for us at these certain points in the draft. These were good picks, but I just don't think these guys are elite level talented dudes. Like, this wasn't, let me put it to you this way. Neither of these picks were like a Corey Trice last year, who we got in the 7th, who was projected to go in the 3rd. Like, these weren't like extreme value picks. Like, these are guys who are projected to go in the 6th round. We needed some D-line help. We obviously were looking for a cornerback. So we picked Logan Lee and Ryan Watts. There were other guys available, but the Steelers preferred both of them. And there's an argument to be made. There's a case to be made that these were solid picks compared to the other guys available. Like, there's downsides, there's negatives. Like with Logan Lee, a little bit undersized, but he has really good athleticism. He's going to have to add an extra 10 or 15 pounds, but he's also versatile. can play along the whole defensive line. With Ryan Watts, he's got good size. He's got that avatar archetype it seems like the Steelers have been looking for in their secondary, but he struggled in coverage at the cornerback position last year at Texas. Gave up like 120 plus passer rating. But with his size and athleticism, he can do things that a lot of other dudes at the cornerback position can't do. But some are thinking he would be better off at safety. He also provides some versatility. Can play inside, outside. Obviously, we're talking about him maybe transitioning to safety. So there's things to like about both these dudes and why the Steelers drafted them, but there are some negatives, and that's why they're 6th-round picks. So I'm not going to go like above and beyond and saying like, oh, these were A+ slam dunk picks. No, I'm just going to give them B+. I think it filled a need. We hit home runs in the first 4 rounds with all of our picks. They were all at least A- grades for me. I gave Mason McCormick an A-. Everyone else I gave at least an A or above. So yeah, I don't think there was anyone we really missed out with those 6th-round picks. They were just good picks, solid picks, quality picks, B+. That's why I gave them that. But I'm gonna say when you add it all up, overall grade an A+. Who would have thought we would see the day that Deke and PFF actually agree on a ranking or a grade? But today is that day, my friends. Sunday, April 28th, 2024. Deke and PFF agree on a Steelers grade. And that is that this draft class was a home run, A+. What grades do you guys give the draft? And who was your favorite pick? Let me know. Seeing a lot of you guys are talking about what I'm going to discuss at the end here. Potential free agent moves and who we should bring in. Matt Marndy says, I really think we should have got TJ Tampa. And of course, the Ravens got him too. Of course. The Ravens, always one of those teams that, like the Steelers, benefit from other teams' foolishness and letting really good players fall to them. So, yeah, they got TJ Tampa. They got, what, Cooper DeJean? And no. They didn't get Cooper DeJean. That's the Eagles. Eagles also, like, they're a pretty decently run organization as well. They got some good, they got Quinyon Mitchell. They also got Cooper DeJean. Who else did the Ravens pick? I can't even remember, to be honest. I know they picked TJ Tampa. Obviously, we're talking about that. All their other picks escape me right now. Bulls B-ball 0305. All we need is maturity in the receiver room. Yeah. I think Roman Wilson, even though he's going to be a rookie, is going to provide some of that maturity. The way Tallman was talking about him and being a winner and knowing what it takes to be great and stuff, winning a championship at Michigan. And just what he's willing to do. Like, he just wants to win, man. If you hear him talk, you hear some of his interviews, all he wants to do is win. That was one of the first things he said about coming here to Pittsburgh. He's like, it's just all about winning. That's it. He is a very willing blocker. That's one thing you got to give him. Very willing blocker. Even though he's only, 5'10", very small frame. He'll get after it. Almost like a Hines Ward, man. Hines Ward was bigger in stature, obviously, but he was still a small receiver. He was blocking dudes. He was putting highlight reels out there for his blocking. Pickens has two. There's been times where we've seen some pretty good blocks from Pickens, but those last year were like once in a blue moon. So hopefully he'll pick up a little bit from Roman Wilson by, osmosis, Roman Wilson being there. I think he's going to be a leader, as crazy as it sounds already, being a rookie, but he's going to be one of those leaders. I agree with you, though. We still do need to bring in a free agent, a veteran free agent. We definitely do. A Glover 16 says, I'd like to bring back Eric Rowe. Yeah, that's not a bad call for like a slot guy. Versatile piece. Quan Summer says, I wanted Kyrie. Quan Summer, what's good, bro? Says, I wanted Kyrie. When did he go? He went early 4th, so he wasn't there for our Mason McCormick pick. That's the other thing. I don't think there were many, players at that point. I think TJ Tampa was the only name with that Mason McCormick pick that I could have seen us taking instead of McCormick. He was the only guy because Jackson was gone. Was there another corner that went before us. I know the 2 receivers I wanted were gone. They went early in the 4th, Troy Franklin, Javon Baker. Malik Badger, will we win a Super Bowl this year? We're setting ourselves up for a pretty damn good chance, my friend. You guys don't have any grades? I'm not seeing any grades in here. Tyler, no, there was DJ James. That was about it, though. Yeah, could we have taken him with our first 6th-round pick? I think he was available there. That was the only guy I would have thought, as opposed to, like, Logan Lee. Because I think he went in between the 6th-round picks after we took Logan Lee and then before we took Ryan Watts. Bulls B Ball 0305 says A+. No M416 says B+. 19th King says A-, nothing less. Lone Money 001A. KG Beats 209 says B. I need to hear your reasoning. Explain why you're saying B. K9S says A+ draft, no cap. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not lying. We're not being homers here. Pusher Man CDL A+. Yeah, it was a really good draft. Every player we got at a great value. Gillette says Isaiah Simmons. He re-signed with the Giants. And we got Peyton Wilson now. We don't even need Isaiah Simmons. Our 4 linebackers are set. With Queen, Cole Holcomb, Atlanta Roberts, and Peyton Wilson. We're set at linebacker. Steel City J says, add Lev Bell and we are Super Bowl bound. No, his time is coming past. Sequin 15 A+, RWTC B+. Yeah, I think we all agree. B+, that seems low. Okay, KG Beats responds to his B grade, says, could have gotten a good slot corner or else I'd say an A. We could sign a corner in free agency, and we'll go over that in a little bit here. Let me go over these undrafted free agents real quick. We signed 6 guys. I don't know if we signed an additional dude within the last, 30 minutes, but 6 guys that we picked up. First one, and you guys let me know in the chat too, if you've already looked at who the undrafted free agent signings, the undrafted rookie free agent signings have been. Who is your favorite pick? Who are you most excited about out of the undrafted free agent class as well? First one, Beanie Bishop, cornerback out of West Virginia, was an All-American cornerback last year. All-American. Like, he was legit listed as one of the best cornerbacks in college football. 4 picks, 20 pass deflections. So I'm saying he was, an All-American last year. You're probably saying, like, okay, why is he undrafted? Why didn't he get picked in the 1st or 2nd round? He's really small. He's like 5'9", and he played outside at West Virginia. I'm guessing that's based off just where they needed him to be and was good enough despite his height to play out there, but projects to be a slot corner in the pros. And, he's got some hiccups out there on tape where he's let people down the field beat him. Like, he'll be a little bit too antsy in coverage and looking at the quarterback, let a guy get past him. Like, just stuff that you need to improve on and reasons why you're getting not drafted, basically. But I like the potential, man. And, we're talking about needing a slot corner. He fits the Mike Hilton prototype. Scrappy dude. Obviously, the production was there with the 4 picks and the 20 pass deflections. Scrappy dude, willing tackler, needs to improve in coverage a little bit. But, yeah, I could see him being a slot guy. I can see him sticking around. Like, I think this was one of our higher quality undrafted free agent signings here. Next one was Dejun Edwards, running back from Georgia. I think I mispronounced his name there. He was the leading rusher for Georgia. He was basically their starting running back. Now, they did have a split backfield with him, and I forget the dude's name. Was it Kendall Hilton or Kendall Milton? I think they both split the backfield. Edwards had a little bit more yards on the ground, 881, 13 touchdowns at a 5.4 yards per carry. Yeah, I think he's a guy that you're looking to bring in and just provide some depth in the running back room. Doubt he makes the roster with us having Cordell Patterson and Jalen Warren and Najee Harris already in-house, but could be a good practice squad guy for us because I don't know outside of those 3 names in Patterson, Harris, and Warren, I don't know if we have another running back on the squad right now. 'Cause Anthony McFarland was just recently seen playing in that UFL. Not a bad pickup. Can't complain about it. You can't complain about any of these undrafted free agent signings, really. The next dude is John Rice Plumlee, quarterback from UCF. He is a scrambling type of quarterback, 4.49 40, never eclipsed 2,600 passing yards in his last 2 years here at UCF. Started out at Ole Miss, really didn't get any playing time, but transferred to UCF, where he became the starting quarterback over the last 2 seasons. But as I said, scrambler type of dude. Got 800 yards on the ground in 2022, 11 touchdowns, 500 yards on the ground last year, and 5 touchdowns in 2023. Played in 3 less games because he had an injury. He had a torn meniscus early last year, but was able to play for pretty much the rest of the season. Had a bulky knee brace out there. So you could attribute some toughness and character to this guy. So shout out to him for battling through that injury and playing in his last season in college. With us having Justin Fields and Russell Wilson in house, and them being mobile quarterbacks, and Arthur Smith having a system based off play action and getting some of these quarterbacks in space and making throws downfield, I can see why the Steelers brought him in to be our fourth guy. But almost like the running back out of Georgia, I don't really see a path for him making this year's 53, but could stick around on the practice squad. We got Julius Welshkoff, linebacker out of Charlotte. Really didn't do much in college. Not even going to front about this one. Started at Michigan, spent last year at Charlotte, has only 29 total tackles to his name in all of college football. So that's over the course of, I think, 4 years, maybe even 5 years. But the kicker is he is from Germany. He is a native to Germany, which enables him to be a roster exemption for the Steelers. So they could sign an extra player if you sign a dude, I'm guessing from all of Europe or just all of the world outside of the United States. You can sign an extra player to the offseason roster. So we could have 91 players now because we have Julius. And then if we wanted to keep him around for the practice squad, that number gets bumped up from 16 to 17 if we keep him. He's basically like a free roster spot, not only for the offseason, but also for the practice squad. And then Jacoby Windman, linebacker out of Michigan State. This dude's really intriguing. Really, really intriguing. He was an off-ball linebacker at UNLV, had like 120 tackles, flying all over the field, really athletic. And then transfers to Michigan State, moves to an edge rusher. And I mean, he's smooth, man. He's smooth and fast. I think the only knock on him is he wasn't able to put his skills fully on display because he's been banged up at Michigan State. I like this pickup as a potential like depth edge rusher, and that's also something we're looking for. So in terms of these undrafted free agents, 2 dudes might actually make the 53 and fill a void for us, and that's Beanie Bishop, slot corner, and I think maybe Jacoby Windman for that 4th edge rush spot. And then Trey Brown, center out of Jacksonville State. I couldn't find anything on him, to be honest with you. I couldn't see any highlights, couldn't see any footage from any of his games at Jacksonville State. But yeah, we bring him in. He's a center from Jacksonville State. There you go. Any of you guys see any of these picks? Any of these pickups, I mean, these undrafted free agents. You guys like any of them? Any thoughts? KG Beats 209 says, we need TG to do a breakdown on Beanie Bishop. Yeah, I think he liked him. I remember Moats mentioned something to TG about Beanie Bishop, like in one of our podcasts like a month ago, and I think TG was pretty high on him. He was liking him. Sequin 15 likes the John Rice pickup, the quarterback pickup. Seems like he's got a good arm. Like he's got, I don't know if he's got the strongest arm, but I think he's got a good like an accuracy, got a good, just got a good arm. He's got quick release, like that type of thing. Ray Clip says, I like the quarterback, nice RPO, and Beanie nice. There you go. Okay, so yeah, maybe the third best pickup out of this list. I'm gonna say Beanie Bishop and Windman from Michigan State are probably the top 2. And you can say Plumlee, quarterback from UCF, and you're not gonna go wrong with a running back from Georgia. Not gonna go wrong with that at all. No M416 says he can play receiver. I did see that. He moved to receiver at Ole Miss for a minute. Maybe some trickeration out there. Do some Randall L type of stuff. But no, I don't. That's not going to be in the cards for him in his rookie year. He'll be lucky. Yeah, I think his path's the practice squad. I was going to say he'll be lucky to make the practice squad, but no, that's probably the most likely path for him. That would make the most sense because we don't have another quarterback chilling there right now. He's the fourth quarterback, and usually fourth quarterback for us will be relegated to practice squad. All right, guys. I was going to talk about some of these additional free agent pickups, but I think I'm out of time here. Yeah, maybe for another day. I'll just say I'll give you this. I'll give you a blueprint of what we need to do. I think we need to acquire an outside receiver, whether that's through free agency or trade. There are definitely some names out there. We need to sign a depth edge rusher, and then also sign a cornerback. Those would be my three things. And I'll go over those names and more of the details about those three things at a later date, at another time. But hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks for stopping through, man. Yeah, made it fun. Chopping it up about the Steelers draft. But that's it. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe. Stay chilling. Peace.